Hi there, Sabine here with some thoughts for the day. It has been a crazy week. We have had new updates, new requirements every day, sometimes twice a day. We have had announcements about what is going on anywhere in the country and all around the world. We are getting constant updates on new infections and unfortunately new deaths. And so the uncertainty is quite high, and I know from a lot of people the anxiety is based mainly in the fact that there isn't really a new normal. Everybody keeps talking about that new normal that we need to get used to, but it doesn't seem like there is a normal quite yet, because it still keeps changing every 5 minutes. And so as the physical pandemic is spreading, the emotional, the psychological, the soul pandemic is kind of spreading too. There have been increasing numbers of videos out on that one too, on the perspective of, what does all of that do to our soul life, our spiritual life, and there are some really good ones out there. So, it's maybe worth looking at too for a perspective. But very, very generally speaking, what all of this is doing on a physical level, it's throwing us back onto ourselves. And whenever that happens, be it your individual illness or something like that, or just economic circumstances, when that happens, we're also thrown back onto our own fears and our own history, our own selves. And so this time there's really not that much escaping from it. I mean, you can keep watching Netflix, and that is a good thing for in between, but doing that for 2 or 3 weeks may actually get a little bit boring too. So I just want to remind you that all of us have some tools at hand to deal with the anxiety that is very naturally increasing right now in so many people. First and foremost of all, be observant and be honest. You will notice that sometimes and some days your anxiety peaks, and sometimes and some days your anxiety is actually kind of okay. You will notice that there are probably still times where you're really happy and joyous if something really funny happens with the kids, or if you get really good news from somebody. You will still feel some kind of happiness and joy. And it's important to remember that we're not falling into an all or nothing. It's so easy to fall into that black and white. The other thing is that although we are called to be socially distancing, I'm just going to say this, I think it's a misnomer. I think physically distancing would be the thing. I think actually socially we need to reach out to each other more than ever else. So although you're called to be socially distancing, know that this is only in person. Remember that this is only in person. What I'm doing right now is kind of a social reaching out. You can do this with your friends. You can have Skype calls and dinners over Skype. You can have phone calls. You can write letters to people who are further away. You can speak to neighbors over the garden fence. Just stay far enough away from each other so that you keep having contact and that you keep reaching out, because our hearts need that. We need to reach out. The other thing is, it's spring. Fortunately, the weather is relatively mild. Well, fortunately on a soul level, I don't know about the whole viral connection, but on a soul level, the weather is relatively mild. So if you're lucky enough to have a backyard or a nice balcony, go out into the light, go out into the sun when it's there. If you're not, get in the car and drive a little bit and maybe go to a park that isn't packed. Most places aren't packed right now to start with. Go to a forest nearby. Go for a walk. A colleague of mine put it very well. You can still hug a tree. Go and do that. It may sound weird, but it gives you energy, it gives you connection, and it will give you a sense of belonging into something that is bigger. And remember to do the simple things. Don't allow yourself to, fall into the fear and just let it spin around in your head, or completely suppress it with Netflix 24/7, or worse, alcohol or drugs. Journal. Call a friend and speak about what's going on. Meditate if meditating is something that you have done in the past, and if you haven't, consider starting it. There are lots of videos out there and guided imageries. Do art. Consider doing that home renovation project that you've been wanting to do for a while, if you can get all the things that you need for it. Plan the next vacation that you're going to take when all of this is over, if need be. Do jigsaw puzzles. Play with the kids games that you haven't played with them, that they usually play with their friends. Get out the Twisters carpet. Do the things that engage you with yourself and with your soul, and allow yourself to also listen to the fear when it comes up, because a lot of times it will be triggered by outside events, and it will be about those outside events right now. But sometimes that also points to the deeper fears within us. And this is a time for actually sitting with it. If you're forced to be at home, journal, work through those things, and if need be, reach out to your therapist. Most of us have switched over to online. You can still work, we can still connect. Again, this is connecting right now, and we can do that online too. So, reach out. And if you don't have a therapist, find one. There are lots out there right now, open and willing to work. Look online and find a self-help group. There are lots of those groups springing up too. Just people helping each other and talking to each other. And I'm going to do my very best to do these little videos again every day, just so that there's a sense that we can stay connected. Most and foremost of all, be well and be safe. Do as people are requesting and suggesting right now. Keep your distance. If you have symptoms, or if you know somebody who has symptoms, stay away from others. Keep your children and the elderly people around you safe by making sure that they have the appropriate distance, especially from people who have symptoms of any kind of cold at this time. And take time to rest too. Maybe the one thing that is most obvious in terms of physical changes in all of this on a positive level is that many people have been giving a break. And although that may be economically challenging, and I totally understand that, trust me, been thinking about that too, but it also means physically you're getting a break. So maybe it's time to just sleep in a little bit longer if the kids let you. And have a leisurely breakfast here and there, and spend some time cooking a really good meal again. Just doing the little things that help you build up not only the physical but also the soul resilience. Be safe, be well, and I will be back very soon. Keep checking in. Okay.